When you pick up a New Testament and begin to read, the first 4 books tell the story of Jesus. Obviously, Jesus is the beginning of the Christian movement, so that's a good place to begin. However, when we read the Bible contextually, we have to ask, where are these writings coming from? Who are the original audiences? What is an author trying to do? Between the 4 Gospels, other questions emerge. Why do we have so many similarities? Why do we have so many differences? These are the questions that a contextual reading of the New Testament seeks to address in trying to understand its meaning. Well, beginning with Matthew, a full and teaching gospel, Matthew provides a bridge between the Old Testament and the New Testament. We move then to Mark. Mark is the shortest of the Gospels, and therefore scholars assume that it might be written earliest. It's also the roughest. Luke then follows. Luke claims to be using different sources. Maybe Mark is one of those sources. Then the Gospel of John is the most different. So what do you make about the Gospel of John? Well, over the last 2 centuries, scholars have assumed that Matthew and Luke make use of Mark. They also probably make use of other sources as well, maybe even sharing a common source that is unavailable to us. We'll call this the synoptic hypothesis. Syn means similar, optic means eye. So Matthew and Luke look at the ministry of Jesus through a singular perspective. Maybe that's Mark's perspective. The question then is why John might be so different. Is John different because of history, or because of theology, or because of both? Does John know of Matthew, Mark, or Luke? Does John know of one of the Gospels, or all 3 of them? Anyway, these are the kinds of questions that we'll be raising as we look at an introduction to the Gospels in contextual perspective.